From that to this. Welcome to the Six Museum. A newish feature for the Six Music Breakfast Show. And I proudly take on the challenge of exhibiting a new piece in the Six Museum, and we are learning together. This is where we explore some of the most exciting and interesting and unusual museums across the UK. We'll be inducting one exhibit from each moment, each entry into our very own Six Museum. Today we are joined by Neil Cole. Get ready for this. Listen, turn up the radio if you're washing up or something, or you're ironing, or you're in a rush, or you're on a jog. Make sure that you listen to this because it's incredible. Neil is the creator and curator of the Museum of Classic Sci-Fi. He spent 3 years restoring the cellar of a 4-storey Georgian townhouse where he lives, BTW, in the village of Allendale, Northumberland, which he then turned into a museum. Neil is an art teacher by day and also an artist himself. Some of his incredible sci-fi inspired work is on display in the museum, and he spent lockdown renovating it. He also used to play in a Rush cover band, so he's basically awesome. Actually, better than basically, he's wondrously awesome. Neil, hello, are you there?
Hello, yes, I am, and can I just... That's quite an introduction. Thank you very much.
It's so cool. It's so cool. Tell us a little bit about this crazy life that you've decided to live in terms of turning your very home into not any museum. It's weird to turn your house into a museum, but a sci-fi museum specifically.
Yeah, well, if you go back to sort of 1975, I was on Blackpool seafront, and I walked into a Doctor Who exhibition that was there, and I went downstairs, and there was all the monsters off the TV I was looking at, and it blew me away from that moment on. And if you sort of go forward in time, I think just generally I've taught for 25 years. I'm an artist. I draw, sculpt, I do all sorts of things, and I'd always wanted to create something. I'd collected and restored Doctor Who monsters, and I just thought I just would love to put these out instead of just being locked in a room. You know, collectors often just hoard things in rooms. This needs to be seen and shared and also protected for the future. So I just thought, right, I can do this. This old house came up, and it really was like, imagine Hell House, but worse. And we were off, and I knew it was going to be mad because I was teaching full time. I'm only teaching 2 days now off, which is lovely to enable me to do this. But it was a full-time job, literally to midnight, angle grinder, lime mortar. It was pretty grim, but it was this sort of goal I could see. Now when I think back, I think, would I do it again? Of course I would, but it's just wow.
Oh, perhaps they should do a grand design season on really sort of wackier projects, because it's not that common that people buy a property to turn into a museum that can be enjoyed by others. People have dreams of buying their dream homes or building their dream homes or renovating spaces for themselves. I love that you have a shared vision.
Well, it's a 4-storey Georgian listed townhouse, which sounds great. It's about 300 years old. Until you saw the condition it was in. I mean, we got it reasonably for a good reason. But it's perfect because I have 2 autistic children who are wonderful, but they're little energy bunnies. They've basically got the 3rd floor of the house. My wife's a psychotherapist, so she's got the 1st floor office. And then downstairs, ta-da, it's the monster science fiction museum.
This is so cool.
You know, it works out fine for us.
I absolutely adore this story. I really do. And the fact that you and your whole family are for it. Were there any grand design-esque moment amongst the family where it felt like this was the most ludicrous thing ever to try and that it would just be a disaster?
Yeah, look, I'll be blunt. We think now that autism runs in the family. That's all I'm going to say on this, or at least ADHD. So when I get an idea, I'm quite single-minded, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I was still running a normal life. You know, normal in inverted commas. You know, I was still doing art teaching and obviously being dad and everything else. It was weird. Of course, there was moments when people, you look and you think, why am I doing this? Why am I covered in lime mortar? I mean, I used to look like a serial killer in the basement, jet washing lime mortar at midnight. You know, I had like black all-in-one waterproof sun and goggles, and I'd come out. There's a picture of me online, and I look like it's the murder basement or something, because it's like in the middle of the night as well. It's weird, but hey ho, needs must.
I mean, 2020 will be fascinating for a long time. And I think that one of the positive points of interest for me is how people decided to create positive change in their own lives and really perhaps have some time or perhaps it's just to do with what was going on, like find time in their minds to really think about what makes them happy. And the fact that you opened the Museum of Classic Sci-Fi, for me, is just truly kind of a wonderful and inspiring story, because it now is the time to take the bull by the horns and to live a life that you really, really kind of want, life's too short.
Yeah. I mean, I think, to be honest, I'd taught for 25 years, and you do a job like that and it's all encompassing. And then I'd hit 50 and I just thought, it's time to do I need to do those other things too. Do you know what I mean? I've got to give things a go, because I've just had a Doctor Who book cover acknowledged by a publisher. So it was like bucket list, tick, museum, open, tick. And I never thought these things would happen. And it's taken me till 50 to do it. But it's just, it's an exciting time. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not sort of rock and roll, the museum lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's not.
Nothing is. Rock and roll isn't even rock and roll.
No, you're right there. But it's you know what I mean? It's a sedate sort of lifestyle, but I'm surrounded by objects that take me back to a lovely time, when my parents were alive, and now we used to watch Doctor Who on a Saturday evening, and people come in and they share that and see things. And then one of the guys up the BBC who worked on the original show and the new show, a wonderful model maker, Mike Tucker, has contacted me a couple of months ago and said, would you like to borrow the original surviving Zygon from Doctor Who Terror of the Zygons with Tom Baker and have it in your museum for a while? And it was just like, it blew me away. That this incredible monster was coming, but that Mike had actually sort of looked at what I'd done and thought, taken it seriously, and thought, no, it would be lovely there. It was just wonderful. It means the world.
It's a sci-fi geek dream right now. So many people going, hold up. How do I get to Allendale for my holidays this year in Northumberland? Though I do need to know in brief about the Alan Dalek saga, the Alan Dalek saga. What happened with your Daleks, Neil?
Well, basically, the council's first action to tell us that we shouldn't have a Dalek outside was to send 3 stooges in the big sort of high-vis and the big guys to bang on the door all morning of when my wife was doing a therapy session.
Oh my God.
I'm teaching and I get the phone call. People are saying there's 3 dodgy looking guys at your door. That's what made me see red. I thought a phone call was all that, because I'm very reasonable. A phone call was all that was needed to say we have an issue. But nope, we'll send the heavies in. So anyway, after that, it went crazy because they wouldn't back down. And in short, they basically, I built a Dalek at school with my Doctor Who club. Lovely, accurate Dalek. But it couldn't stand the rain, bless him. So we put a little wood shelter over him. It wasn't permanent or anything, and they classed that as a permanent structure. This was despite they having built a concrete monstrosity over the road from where we live at the minute, 8 meters. But we're saying that, we love this building, it's fine. But it was all just like, the county was sort of saying we need tourist attractions, and if you use an old building, we encourage it. So on the one hand, they're saying we're encouraging this type of thing, because we had 3,000 visitors in our first year to a tiny little village that needs tourism, and it's beautiful where we live. Allendale is like one of those hidden gems. It's in an area of outstanding natural beauty. When people come here, they sort of come for their sci-fi, but then they look around them and it's like the most stunning scenery. It's sort of tucked between the Lake District and the Roman Wall, and it gets a bit overlooked, and it's a wonderful place. So it's
you don't have to convince me anymore. That is for sure. I'm loving getting the scoop on the Dalek drama as well. Dramas. But it's all been sorted out, as all the best things are. And you are going to be helping us induct a brand new exhibit for the Six Museum right here, right now. This is an exclusive at 18 minutes past 9 on a Thursday, the 22nd of July, 2021.
This is the Six Museum.
What have you got for us, Neil?
I have the world's only surviving red pteroleptil, a criminal escaped from the world of Doctor Who, a giant sort of fish reptile man that I restored over 3 years. He's gorgeous, he's red, he looks a bit like a fish, a bit like a man, and he's just a sexy alien monster, and you can have him for the museum.
Thank you so much. Joining Brian May's lawnmower from the British Lawnmower Museum.
He could get the lawnmower out, can't he?
A flyer, an actual paper flyer from the first UK rave, Hedonism, 1988, from the Museum of Youth Culture. Love those guys. National Museum of Scotland gave us Rob Roy's Sporran Clasp with concealed pistols. The Museum of Classic Sci-Fi has just given us the red Pteroleptil.
Sort of short for terrible lizard. Sort of terrible reptile,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
From Doctor Who, The Visitation. I'm going to ponder over all of these things. I'm going to ponder over our entire chat whilst I play Bilal. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks very much.